The Packers head on down to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Can the Packers finally put a complete game together and look like a legitimate Super Bowl team? Tune in to find out.
Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm cash.
Welcome back to another episode of Sounds Good. Thank you, everybody, for coming back and taking a listen to us. My name is Rob Ralph, and I will be riding solo for a while. As you know, or most of you should know, Jordan is going to be going on paternity leave. I have not got anything confirmed that everything is good on his end, but I'm sure it is. So you're going to be riding solo with me as well as some other guests here for a while. We've got a Week 7 matchup that on paper looks like the Packers should run away with this thing. They're 6.5-point favorites. 96% of the money is on them straight up. But Cardinals are 2-4 for a reason. And that reason isn't because they've been blown out. They've lost 4 straight games by combined 9 points. That means that we're looking at a team that's 1 or 2 plays away from being 4-2 right now. And when you've got a starting quarterback potentially unavailable and you're facing one of the best offenses in football, that gap closes really quick. So today, we're going to be breaking down exactly where the Packers have the edge, where Arizona can stay competitive, and what you need to watch for in this one. Let's get into it. So let's start with what makes the Packers offense tick this year. Because when you understand their formula, I think you understand why they're poised to dominate the Cardinals defense. So the Packers are built on what we're calling a 3-layer approach. So layer 1, Josh Jacobs and the run game. That guy is the second highest graded running back in the NFL right now. He's not just a physical presence. He's also a receiving threat as well. He's second in receiving grade among all running backs. When Jacobs is operating at full strength and the Packers are getting 5-6 yards and on first down, everything else on that offense becomes exponentially easier. Layer 2, Jordan Love in the intermediate throwing game. Love is currently second in EPA per plays across the league. His PFF grade is 83.0. When he's clean and not under pressure, his passer rating sits at 137.8. Now that is definitely elite. He's not forcing things. He's finding Romeo Doubs underneath, working Tucker Kraft over the middle, and definitely moving the chains. So layer 3 to this, Matthew Golden deep finally showed up last week. This kid is a shiny new toy that everybody is talking about, and for good reason. Loves connecting with him on third and longs, hitting him for 20, even 30 yards on down the field. Last week, against the Bengals, Love threw him a couple of 20-plus yard completions on third down. Here's what matters, though. When all 3 layers are firing at the same time, the Packers are close to unstoppable. The problem? They haven't been able to sustain it. They're the youngest team in the NFL, and the inconsistency is baked into who they are right now. But against Arizona, this is the defense that's third worst in run defense grade. They don't have a depth beyond Calais Campbell on the interior. Their linebackers are struggling in coverage. I believe that this is the kind of matchup where all 3 layers could potentially operate all at once. So what does Arizona really have going for them? Now, before we completely write off the Arizona Cardinals, let's pump the brakes for a second. This team is 2-4, but they're not 2-4. They're not a 2-4 team quality-wise. They've lost 4 straight, but the point differential on those 4 losses, 9 points total. We're talking about losses by 4, 1, 3, and 1. They came within a possession of every single team they've faced. Last week, I don't know if any of you guys caught that game, but with Jacoby Brissett stepping in and a guy who's not exactly a top 10 quarterback, Arizona still scored 27 points. They made that a very competitive game. That's tied for their season high. The offense, when it's dialed in, can move it. And defensively, they do have some bright spots. Will Johnson at corner, who I really loved out of Michigan, was a shocking fall at 47 overall. He's playing like a first rounder right now. Josh Sweat has actually shown up on tape, generating pressure, and Calais Campbell at 39 years old seems like he's still somehow the ageless wonder, and he's all still putting it together. The bigger thing, and this is a big if, Kyler Murray is out and Brissett has to play a full game, Arizona's offense game plan shifts. They're going to keep things more methodical. They're going to rely on the quick game. They're going to lean on Trey McBride, and here's where it gets interesting. Trey McBride is a legitimate weapon, and the Packers have struggled against tight ends because their linebackers play so deep in their zones. So the Cardinals aren't walking into this game with zero chance. They definitely have a pathway. It's just a really, really narrow. Cardinals defense, though, for them is a real problem. Their pass defense is 28th in the NFL. They're allowing 79.8 completion percentage on throws 0 to 9 yards down on the field. That's 19th, which is not very good. Their coverage grade overall, 28th. And here's where it gets bad. Budda Baker, their safety, has a 49.3 PFF grade overall. His coverage grade specifically is 32.2. That's just not below average. That's one of the worst you'll see in the league. They play quarters coverage at an elite rate, more than most teams in football. That's predictable. That's something Jordan Love can attack. Their run defense, third worst grade in the league. Their linebacking group is struggling in coverage across the board. None of them are getting upper range of PFF grades. You've got Zeke Gaither in there at 56.1, playing both run and pass, and it shows. He's not equipped to do both at a high level, in my opinion. When you match up all those against Josh Jacobs, Jacobs is in for a hell of a day. He could have one of his biggest games all season, even bigger than last week. I believe Brissett's ceiling is real. Jacoby Brissett is a useful player for 3 weeks, maybe 4. His high sack rate, low interception guy historically. He's the Tannehill / Russell Wilson prototype. If Micah Parsons gets to him 4 or 5 times, that game is over. Brissett can't escape and can't extend plays the way that Kyler can. Sacks become devastating to this Cardinals team. The injury situation is brutal. James Conner is out. Trey Benson's out. Kyler is likely out. Marvin Harrison Jr. has a concussion. They've had to run their offense last week with backups at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Getting away with 27 points was actually pretty impressive. But you can't ask them to do that 2 weeks in a row against a healthy Packers defense. Packers secondary has questions, though, as well. Let's not ignore the Packers secondary. Nate Hobbs is a 65.4 on PFF, 34th out of 107 quarterbacks. There are matchup concerns. Aaron Banks on the O-line had a bad year so far, though he's bounced back last week. If the Packers O-line gets pushed around early, that disrupts their whole rhythm. And here's a subtle one. Packers fans have noticed that the elite pass rushers like Micah Parsons sometimes don't get called for holding the way that other guys do. And I think Jordan and I brought this up on the last game. There's potentially a memo around the league to be lenient on elite guys. But Parsons still getting held consistently on tape, and if that continues, it is a problem for the Packers. So this is where I think that Green Bay's got the edge, though. The red zone. This is probably the simplest one. The Packers are top 5 in red zone success rate on both sides of the ball. The Cardinals are not. When it matters, when you're in scoring position, the Packers are executing, and the Cardinals are definitely leaving points on the field. So week in and week out, that's the difference between a 4-2 team or a 3-1-1 team, and a 2-4 team. Josh Jacobs' versatility. Jacobs isn't just running the ball between the tackles. He's catching passes out of the backfield. He's a threat on checkdowns. He's going to try and force Arizona's linebackers to be responsible in coverage, which they are not good at. When he gets to the second level against their linebackers, yards after catch. That's how the Packers get to 27, 28, possibly even 30 points in this game. Jordan Love's arm. Look, I've had a couple of dumb interceptions early in the year, but outside of that, he's been very, very good. He's the 3rd or 4th MVP candidate in the league right now. On 3rd and longs, he's making the throw down the field. Against a defense that's playing quarters quite a bit and keeping everything in front of them, Love has opportunities to attack both horizontally and vertically. The Cardinals haven't seen a quarterback this talented all year, in my opinion, and definitely not one this talented when their defense is this exposed. Also, the Packers are playing more man coverage this year than they did last year, and it's working. Micah Parsons is generating some pressure at an elite rate, still, even with being held. Yes, he might not be getting every holding call that you're seeing, but he's creating massive pressure. And when you pair elite pressure with man coverage, the Cardinals receivers who are dealing with injuries are definitely in trouble. The talent gap. Let's be realistic. PFF has the Packers the 2nd best overall team in the league, and the Cardinals at 28th. That's not a small gap. The Packers offense is 4th in PFF grade, Cardinals are 13th. And on defense, the Packers are 14th and the Cardinals are 17th. So the Cardinals are competitive in maybe one or two of these areas, but I believe that the Packers are winning pretty decisively in this game because of a massive talent gap. All right, so things to watch out for in this game. Thing one, Josh Jacobs' first half volume. If Josh Jacobs is getting the ball 15 plus times in the first half and averaging 5 plus yards per carry, the game is over. The Packers want him to set the tone early. If the Packers defense hold him to 3 to 4 yards per carry and can keep him under 12 to 13 touches in the first half, they can stay competitive in this game. Thing two, can Arizona get pressure on Love? Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell are going to have to create pressure up front because the secondary can't bail them out in coverage. Pretty plain and simple. If Love has time to let plays develop, Matthew Golden is getting open. If Brissett, whoever is back there, has time, Trey McBride is going to get open. The Cardinals will need to disrupt early. Thing three, how do the Packers handle too high looks? The Cardinals play quarters at an elite rate. That means that they're keeping two safeties back quite a bit. The question is, can the Packers run the ball down their throat? Because if they can't and they're not hitting home runs, the intermediate layer of their offense becomes less efficient. And this is where Love has to be willing to take underneath stuff and let Tucker Kraft, Romeo Doubs, and co. do a lot of their work. Thing four, Matthew Golden's one-on-one matchups. Max Mountain for Arizona is going to get targeted. He has allowed 16 catches on 27 targets, 249 yards allowed in that. His run defense is definitely a liability. The Packers can get Golden in space one-on-one against Melton, even on short stuff. It's a mismatch the Packers should exploit all day and night. And then thing five, Jacoby Brissett's sack rate if he's playing. This is a variable that could blow the game open quickly. If Parsons and the Packers pass rush get to Brissett 4 or 5 times in this first half, I think you're looking at a blowout. If they can keep him clean and he can execute the game plan, it stays a lot closer than expected. All right, so here's my prediction, everybody. I'm going to take the Packers 27-20, somewhere in that range. I think the Cardinals' best case scenario, they lean on Trey McBride. They keep the drives alive with methodical passing, quick passing. They somehow keep Brissett clean, and they make this a game like similar to 24-21 game in the fourth quarter. But that requires Arizona to execute in a lot of those areas where they've struggled all year. So I think Green Bay can take this, but not take it as a blowout level comfortably. So I think that they'll take this, and I think that they'll actually look pretty good and get Josh Jacobs going. So, Packers fans, that is all that I have for you today. What is your take? What do you think that the Packers are going to do against our Arizona Cardinals? Are they going to look competent? Are they going to put together a full and complete game? Are they going to look like true Super Bowl contenders for 4 quarters of football? Let me know. It does look like a mismatch on paper, and honestly, it probably is, but Arizona's proven that they can keep games competitive despite being 2-4. Expect Green Bay to control this from start to finish, especially if Kyler's out. Well, that's all that I have for you today, Packers fans. Just know that we do have new content every Wednesday, Saturday, and Monday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please make sure to give us a like, a sub, and follow us on those platforms. If you know another Packers friend or two that would love to talk Packers ball with me and Jordan, let us know and send them our way. We'd love to interact and engage with them. But that's all that I have for you. We hope that you have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. Take care. Go Pack Go.
Been wanted this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey.